We are following the case of a woman who is known as the Killer Clown. She is out of prison. Sheila Keen-Warren was released on Saturday. This is nearly 18 months after she pleaded guilty to the charge against her. She's been in custody since she was arrested back in 2017 for the shooting death of her current husband's then wife, Marlene Warren. Keen-Warren was allegedly having an affair with the victim's husband when she shot and killed the victim. All this while being dressed as a clown. She pleaded guilty to second-degree murder in Florida shortly before her trial was set to begin. So now we have with us someone who can give us all of the details on what happened. State Attorney for Palm Beach, Florida, where this happened. The prosecutor who was on this case, Dave Aronberg, friend of the show, is with us. And Dave, you're always so great at breaking down all of these cases we have here on Court TV, but you are our primary source for this case. And a lot of people may be surprised. They may think, okay, we just saw her not too long ago pleading guilty. How is she out now?
Well, good to be with you, Julia. You know, she's out because when she committed this horrific crime, it was 1990. And back then they had a system where you got a lot of gain time when you're in prison. And because it occurred so long ago, we had to subscribe to the rules of that time. We're forced to, and the Department of Corrections have made the decision to let her out now based on whatever calculation they have. It's a generous calculation according to the rules of 1990, and obviously we're not thrilled with it, but it is the decision of the Department of Corrections in Tallahassee to do so.
Wow, and I want to confirm that she's been there since 2017, so essentially has she served 7 years of the sentence? And remind us what that full sentence was.
Correct. Well, she has actually been in solitary confinement for 5.5 years. The first 5.5 years of this, she was in the solitary confinement in jail. And that was something her lawyers wanted because they didn't want her talking to other people, apparently. But that's no fun. And so that took a bite out of her. And then after that, she was sentenced to prison as a result of the settlement, and she is now getting out. So she'll have served a little bit over 7 years in incarceration. But mind you, she can't just go home the same person as she was before. She's going home as a convicted, admitted murderer. That is a stain that will never wash away. It's not like she can just go home to her friends and family and say, hey, that was just a nice little vacation. No, quite the opposite. And if I were her friends back in her previous life, I would never want to see a person like this again or let her in my house. I mean, is this the type of person you want to babysit your kids or to babysit your pets? You want nothing to do with her. So it's not like she can just go home and get her old life back. Plus, this was a settlement that the survivor of the victim in this case, Joseph, he agreed to because he knew that the alternative could be that she goes free entirely. Speaking
of her old life, we know she was married to this husband who was at the center of this case. Can you tell us more about that relationship?
We had wondered if she was going to give up her husband. We had suspicions that the husband was involved in it, but we don't have any firm evidence that that is the case. And as such, we couldn't file charges against him. But someone had to tell her that the victim in this case, Marlene, was at home on that Saturday, and the husband did have an alibi. He was in a car driving to the dog track that day, the horse track, dog track, with others, and they got the call. And he then suggested maybe it was other people who may have done this. Of course, never mentioned it could be his mistress. So we had our suspicions, and we still do, but she never gave him up.
And are they still married? Do we expect that that's part of her returning to her old life in this case? I understand that he was there supporting her, at least at some point during this long, drawn-out push to get to a trial.
Yes, as far as we know, they're still married, and she may go back to her home where she was living before. She had changed her name when she moved away. She changed it to Debbie, so we'll see if Debbie reappears in that same group of friends in the same community. We'll see. I do think that they're going to try to have a normal life again, but you just can't go home again after you've admitted in open court that you murdered another person. And look, there are a lot of telltale signs here, right? A few years after the murder, the two of them got married. The mistress and the husband got married. I know people grieve in different ways, but it was pretty suspicious when you marry not only your mistress, but the person who is the chief suspect in the murder of your wife. And then there was the DNA evidence. And so, look, there's no doubt that she is the murderer in this case. She's a cruel, despicable individual for doing it. The problem is proving the case 33 years after the murder occurred. Fortunately, we were able to do some justice here, but the case aged. I mean, evidence spoiled and memories faded and individuals who are key witnesses died. And so it made it very difficult, which is what compelled us to have to take this deal.
Well, I think the outcome seems to be justice because it was such a long time since this happened, and when we consider the case almost cold, Dave, can you tell me about the victims, the ones who were there representing Marlene? How do they feel about this release and this new news?
I haven't spoken to Joe. He is the main survivor here. That was Marlene's son. He was there and saw his mother get murdered by this evil clown and chased after the clown. It was key in providing us important information back then. It just was sad that the case wasn't prosecuted for 33 years. And that's why, well, actually it was 27 years when she was arrested. But then it's sad because of COVID and all these delays for another 6 years. So, you know, justice delayed is justice denied, but he approved of the plea deal because he knew this was a measure of justice in at least getting a person who thought she got away with it. She had lived her new life. She got everything she wanted out of this until the long arm of the law caught up with her. And he approved of this deal. I have not spoken to him since she was released, but, you know, he knew also that it was possible that the Department of Corrections would release her because they have to subscribe to the old laws back in the day when it was like a revolving door of criminals getting out of prison. That's why we have these new tough laws, like 85% sentences must now be served. So unfortunately, you know, we're stuck with the laws that were existed at the time in 1990. And I have not spoken to Joseph, but he has handled this really well overall, like a real mensch.
Wow. Dave Aronberg, thank you so much for filling in all the details. This is the outcome that you want, despite what feelings there may be about her release so close in time to her plea. When you have a cold case, this is the outcome you want to see, that justice is served. So thank you so much for coming on and breaking that all down for us.